Thanks so much for tuning into the Chariots for Hope Under the Hood podcast. Our hope is that the conversation you're about to hear encourages you and inspires you in a real way. At Chariots for Hope, everything we do is fueled by one central truth: the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ. The gospel is simple yet life-changing. Because of our sin, we were separated from God. But out of his great love for us, he sent his son Jesus to live the perfect life we never could, die on the cross in our place, and rise again so that we could have forgiveness and new life in him. That's the hope we cling to, and it's the reason that we exist as a nonprofit. With that being said, let's jump into the conversation.
Hi, everybody. My name is Cassie, and welcome to the Under the Hood podcast with Chariots for Hope. We are super excited to have you here, and we are excited to have our friend Shanita here today, and Riley as well. So thank you guys for being here. Today is a great day. We get to hear Shanita's story and her testimony, and yeah, we're going to let you kind of unpack it for us. And so thank you for being here. We're really excited. We prayed that this would speak to you and encourage you. And so Shanita, we're going to jump right in. Why don't you take us back to the beginning before everything changed and just kind of give us, I guess, your story, and then we can go from there.
Okay. Hi, I'm Shanita Ostberg. I am born in Massachusetts, moved to Georgia when I was 2. My mom was a believer. My dad, he believed in God, but he didn't follow him. And so growing up as a kid, I had very loving parents. We stayed around the corner from my grandparents. So like every weekend, all of our family would just go hang out, cookouts and things like that, like super fun. And I saw like my parents, the way they looked at each other showed me what true love is supposed to be like godly love. Like I grew up with a godly love to view. This is so hard, guys. Can you pause? I'm sorry.
You're fine. As much time as you want.
Okay. Okay. So I grew up in a godly home where my mom was a strong follower of Jesus. My dad was not. His family, we stayed in Columbus, Georgia. His family, they were believers, but not like they were of the world believers. So they didn't really follow Jesus. My dad's family they were alcoholics. And we had fun, like the parties were fun and very family-oriented things that we did together when we were young. And I just remember, my dad was an alcoholic. My mom was a believer. She was a prayer warrior, so was her mom, so was her sisters. Like her family were just on fire for Jesus. I go back to my childhood. That stands out for me is like the age of school, like when you're first starting school. So maybe like between like 4 and 5. My mom, she was a stay-at-home mom. My dad was a mechanic. We were very close. Like he was my best friend. He would take me on weekends. We would go work on cars together, and he would just show me all these cool things. And like even on weekends when he was working on extra cars and things like that, he would take me to like on the drives. He would point out like every type of car. So we'll play this game called like Name Your Car, or he'll take me to like a gas station, and I would get like a small paper bag, and it would be full of like Laffy Taffies and like bubble gum, and it was really fun. And it was just our thing. And so he grew up being like my cheerleader, and like I was so close to him. I just remember like a turning point in my life was I went to my grandmother's house. She stayed down the street. And it was just like any other normal day with my boy cousins who were like best friends. I didn't have friends. I had a family. They were like my best friends. And I was probably like between 4 and 5. And we went into the woods to go to the school that's around the corner that they go to, like an elementary school. And I remember us playing, and I remember us coming back to my grandmother's house. And I just remember like the sharp prick. And I saw like, I walk through this like spider web. And then all I know is I just fall. And I can't get up. And my cousins are like, stop playing, get up, you can walk, it's fine. I'm like, no, I can't walk, I can't stand up, like, I don't know what's wrong.
My gosh.
I need you to get my my mom or like someone, like, I don't know what's wrong, something's wrong. And so I don't remember what happened. I just remember my cousins dragging me up the hill to get to my mom's.
Wow.
And then there's this blackout period where I don't know what's happening. And then I know like my life has just dramatically changed. And so my mom is now having to like take me to a stroller, and we're going to like sports specialists and all these doctors and all these specialists trying to figure out, why is your legs stuck? Like I could not bend my legs. It was just stuck.
Wow.
At all.
So
And
you couldn't walk?
no.
Wow.
And I think for me, I don't remember how my parents perceived it at all. But for me, it was just like blackout periods. I just remember them getting to the point where my mom's sister, I think it was Michelle, and she said, you need to bring Shanita to Massachusetts and you need to bring her to church. And my mom, I think she was just at her point where she just didn't have any other things or any other ways of figuring out what to do. And so I just remember us going to church this one Sunday in Massachusetts, and my aunties were there and my uncle was there, and the pastor had an altar call, and they told my mom to bring me to the altar. And the pastor looked me in the eye and he said, get up and walk. And I got up and walked.
Oh my gosh.
And
Wow.
I don't know, my mom was like crying, and I don't remember anything else because I'm so young. And it was like a trajectory period for our lives. So we get back, my mom looks at my dad, and she's like, David, you lost weight. And I don't remember if he told her or not, or when he decided to tell my mom. But my dad had cancer when I got back. And from there, it was like a trajectory thing. Like my mom would be the mom that would go to church and ask my dad every Sunday, like, hey, do you want to go with us? And he'll be like, nah, maybe next time. And then I just remember life changing to where she walked in from church, and my dad asked her, or told her, Sharon, I want what you have. And she said, what do I have? And she said, Jesus, salvation. And so in our living room, my dad came to Christ, and his life changed.
That's
Like he
awesome.
stopped drinking. He smoked cigarettes since he was 13. He stopped smoking. On the weekends, we would go to my grandparents' house. I remember his brother said, what's wrong with you? That woman changed you? You're not drinking anymore?
You're like, yep.
And he said no. And it's just like, it was just such a beautiful moment to see how Jesus can work in the most craziest ways
Yeah.
in our family, where you have two sides. One side that's like devoted to the Lord, and the other side, they believe in Jesus, but they're not following him in the way that they need to be. They can't see him. They can't see it. It's like they're in this darkness, in this haze. And it started off where my dad's sister died before him. And then my dad got really sick, and I remember them saying, like, we have to take you to Atlanta. And so it's the bigger, because we stayed in a smaller town in Columbus. And I don't remember. I just remember that he left, and then I never physically saw him again. But he would call.
And how old were you at this time?
5.
5.
He would call me, every day almost. And he would just talk to me. And he would sound like my dad. And then I would ask my mom, can I come and see him? And she would always make excuses and say no. And at that time, we were staying with my grandmother. My mom got to the point where we weren't seeing her often because she was with my dad. And all I know is that he was in pain and not doing well, but he still sounded like my dad. And so the big point in my life was it's the week of my birthday, my 6th birthday. And he called me, not on my birthday, like a couple of days later. He said, I'm feeling so much better. And I'm going to get you a Barbie car because I was obsessed with Barbies. And I'm going to get you a radio, like the boombox, old radios.
Yes, the classics.
And I was so excited. And he was like, we're going to have a party and it's going to be so much fun. And he died 4 days later. But the way I found out was, I don't know why my mom did that, but the way I found out was me and my brother came home to my grandmother's house, and she asked my grandmother, which is my dad's mom, asked my brother only into my grandmother's room, and shut the door, and they said, Shanita, don't put your ear to the door. And I, of course, do it. And they're just like, well, they called him Day Day. So they're like, your dad, Day Day, is dead. And I just lost it. Like, I just remember starting to cry and like being upset and being so mad at my mother because she never let me see my dad the entire time he was sick. And now I'm never going to be able to say bye to him. And so I was so upset. And I just remember my grandmother, she just kept saying, Shanita, you need to eat some food. Just eat some soup or eat this thing. And I'm just like, I don't have an appetite and I don't want to eat anything. And I just remember it just being just hard. It's like losing the biggest part of your heart because I was so close. I was like, he was such a great father and he covered me so well that it was just so hard. And even from the perspective of being so young at like 6 years old, you can still feel it. I just remember it going really fast where there was like limos and things. And I just remember one moment my brother was told at the funeral by one of my aunts or something, and you're the man of the house now. You need to wipe your tears away.
Oh my gosh.
Like he is the man.
Yeah.
And so
how old was he?
we are 5 years apart. So he was like,
11.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so for us, it was very hard. I watched my mom become like a shell a little bit. She sent us out to like go play with friends or go do stuff. But she was just a shell for a while. And after my dad died, his brother died. And then after his brother died, my cousin died. And it was really close, like back to back, like really close. My cousin was my cousin from growing up. So she was really young. And I got to I watched them all. They were so thin and they just didn't look like them anymore. And it was like, I was just watching my grandmother fall apart. She's losing her children. She's losing her family, and they're just dying. And I just remember my mom getting to a point where she needed to move and start over. So we moved, and we would come on weekends to visit. And one weekend, I had to say, maybe I was 10. My uncle walks in my grandmother's house. I've never met him, and he's literally my father. He looks just like my father. Like my father got up out of the casket, it would be him. And I remember it so shocking to see him and meet him. And I remember if I said anything, I think I was in so much shock. And it was just so interesting to see someone like that, thinking about it now. And then a couple months later, he died too. Some organ burst.
Oh my gosh.
So he died too. And I told my mom, I cannot relive my father's funeral again. So I will not go to his funeral.
Yeah.
But she drove down there anyway. But we did not go in the church. We just went there to support my grandmother because she lost, another child.
Yeah.
And so for me in my life, it was very hard. But my faith in God, never shifted, ever. I had this.
That's a lot of grief to go through in a span of, 5 years under the age of 10. That's a lot.
Yeah.
And so so I know you were going to say this, but how do you feel like your relationship with the Lord was strengthened by that?
I think it's from watching my mom just learn to be still, the stillness of the Lord. Be still and know I am God. When there's nothing that you can do, everything is out of your control. All you can do is just trust Him. You trust Him to carry you. You trust Him to cover you. You trust Him to take care of all your needs. And that's kind of what I think.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay.
No.
From there, we'll just skip over to middle school. Middle school, my brother was in high school and he got into gangs and stuff like that, or whatever that is. Me in middle school, it was just like a normal. It's like normal school. You're going to school in the morning and things like that. I will wake up and my mom would wake me up or whatever and be like, oh, it's time for school. Get ready for the bus. And then for me, I had to be, I don't even know. I just know I was in 7th grade. I wake up and my mom wakes me up a little bit early. She's just calling my name and I'm like, why are you calling my name? It's not time for me to wake up for school. And she just told me to come here. And I said, okay. And so I walk in to her room. And I remember her saying, I can't walk. I can't stand. And I'm like, what are you talking about? My mom was so fit. My mom would run miles.
Really?
Yeah. She was healthy. She was fit. She was just perfection when it came to her body. And she's like, let me show you. And so she got up out of the bed and she stood and her whole body collapsed. And she would do it. She did it over and over again. And I told her to just stop. And it was a holiday weekend. And I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. I was like, but let's call your doctor. And we call a doctor and they're closed. Because it's a holiday weekend. So we don't know what's happening. We don't know anything. We just know that my mom can no longer walk. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to just stay home from school. I'm just going to, help you with whatever you need. I'm going to help you get in the shower. We're going to do whatever needs to be done. And she's just like, no, you're going to school.
Wow.
So she allows me to help her in the shower and everything like that. So my mom was so stubborn.
Yeah.
Allows me to help her get in the shower and get ready. And then after that, it's just nuts. I guess before that, now that I go back and think about it, my brother had gotten into gangs and stuff, and he got sent away to one of our friends' houses in Columbus, Georgia. And so she became disabled when my brother was no longer home.
Wow.
And so it was just me as a 7th grader and my mom. So my life happened. Trajectory of my life happened really fast. I became an adult very, very fast. My mom taught me how to cook. She taught me how to clean. She taught me how to go to the bank for her when she could drive, but she would drive very scary. She would lift up one leg, put it on the gas, and then would lift up that same leg and put it on the brake. And that was how my life was. So it was literally living with the Lord because he kept us safe. But she showed me all the things to do and help her with every aspect of her life that she needed until we found out that she had multiple sclerosis, and we don't know what happened, or they didn't even know about multiple sclerosis then. And so we just lived our life like that. I remember I'll be outside playing basketball because I don't know, all my friends were guys, so I just would play basketball and I got good at it. And so my friends would yell out, "Hey, your mom's calling you," and that would be my life all the time. Like, she would be calling me to do this and do that, and so I never like, I feel like I never really had like the childhood that you expect, but it's not.
Yeah.
But for me, I saw it as like, you're supposed to just care for your parents. You're supposed to love your parents. It's like a phase of life that is unexpected, but in a way, God is like teaching you like how to care for others, how to be selfless, and how to just cover your parents in a way. And so that's kind of where I was in that time period.
Yeah.
And then after that, life kind of just sped by, where we moved one more time, moved into a house. And my brother ended up moving back in when I was in high school. And I was a very fiery high schooler, I would say, in my personality with my brother. So we fought a lot. But in high school, it was fun. I was varsity in track and field, and that was my way. When I realized I was great at it in ninth grade, that was my freedom. Like, I worked to help pay the bills and things like that, and then I freaking ran. Like, running was my piece. Like, God gifted me with running, which is like, if you go back and think about it, I went from not walking to being in varsity in high school. It's kind of crazy.
That's really cool.
But it shows just God's hand and how his miracles work in our lives. So it's just beautiful for me to go back and reflect on. But in high school, typical high schooler, I feel like for me, I had a lot of brokenness because of growing up without a father and things. We had church, and we had people that were connected within church. For youth group, I had a pastor that was so close to him, and he would just kind of cover me in like in middle school, high school time. And I just remember life kind of shifting around. I was 16. I think I had a lot of insecurity issues in general. So I ended up meeting our Davian, and he, we thought that we were meant for each other.
As you do in high school.
In high school. So for us, both of our moms were disabled. His mom had lupus. My mom had multiple sclerosis. And then both of our birthdays were in September. So it's just kind of crazy. Both of our dad's names were David. And so we were like, oh, yeah, this is meant to be, or whatever. I was just nuts. But a trajectory happens. I end up getting pregnant at 16. I end up having to go to school at 16 and be pregnant.
Wow.
And my mom obviously was not happy about that. And there's another trajectory. I feel like my life is like a movie. I remember my brother and my mom caught this cough. And we were telling my mom it's getting worse. And she's like, no, it's fine, or whatever. And we're like, no, you need to go get checked, to go get seen. And she ended up having pneumonia, double pneumonia. My mom also not only had multiple sclerosis, she had HIV too from my dad. Wow. So her immune system was just kind of shot. And I remember when she went in, it just got worse. It didn't get better. She got to the point where she was on a ventilator. They got to the point where she was, she signed over her like rights to her home and everything to strangers. To strangers. This mom and this daughter. She had to be like 10. I'm 16, pregnant. I have this completely stranger in our home. My brother and her get in a fight. She kicks him out. She cuts me off of contact with the baby daddy. Couldn't talk to him. Couldn't use the phone at all.
This lady.
Yeah, don't know. I really don't know her. There's good things where she like got things to my mom like couldn't get, like blankets and stuff and things to like make my room feel like home. But I realized when I go back and look at it, I think my mom was just kind of out of it because my brother was at the age where he could have took over and had consent, but there's just so much stuff happening.
Yeah.
And you're looking at losing like death and not knowing what's happening, and so you want your everyone taken care of. And so my brother moved in with his girlfriend. He would try. We would only like visit if he could pick me up, and we'll go to like a restaurant or something. But he couldn't come in the house.
Yeah.
And so it was just really, really strange time. My family were flying in and calling and all this stuff, and they were telling me that, oh, we're going to move you to North Carolina, and all these changes while my mom was, dying. And I ended up losing the baby at 6 months, and then I gave birth a stillborn without my mom because she was in the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
And the way that I was told was very unemotional. So my doctor, the OB, she was just like, I had the nurse, she kept looking at me, and I was like, what's wrong? Because they were like listening, because I didn't feel the baby move that day or something at school.
Yeah.
And she said, I can't talk to you, but the doctor will come in. And so the doctor just comes in, and she's just like, your baby's dead.
Oh my gosh.
That's all she told me. And I was like, oh. And so I'm dealing with that. My mom is
You're so young.
Yeah, my mom is not able to speak to, not sure what's going on. And I give birth naturally to a stillborn baby. And I remember her best friend coming to visit. And the baby, even though even though she passed away, she's the only child of mine that had my dad's hazel eyes ever. I've never had one. And so, I don't know, I just see it as Jesus was just covering me. I was 16. Life was falling apart.
Yeah.
My mom was dying. My family was broken. And the Lord was, in a way, he was bringing a gift to us, to be honest, with this child that she's never had to know suffering or hurt or anything of this world. And that one day in heaven, she's growing up and having the most perfect place that you can ever ask for, being cared for in the most amazing way. And I'll see her one day when time comes. And so that's the peace that I have with the Lord in that aspect of time. So after that happens, my mom gets better. Wow. And my mom's very stubborn. So everyone's like, oh, yeah, you need to move out of state and blah, 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 blah. And she's like, I'm not going anywhere. You're not doing any of this. And so it gets to the point where everyone just disappears. Family's just gone. No one's there anymore. And it's just me and my mom.
Wow.
Yeah. From there, life kind of goes really, really fast for us. I go through the grief, but I don't really understand it because I'm so young.
Right.
And so I remember having like a counselor and like a phone conversation or something, but not really working through that issue. I remember life happening really fast. And I remember me and my mom and my brother like moved back in or something, and they were just fighting, or like it'll just be, at one point, for me as a teenager, I felt like I was kind of like a maid. And so just do the cleaning, or she'll be like, go make up my bed, or things will happen that would just be unfair at home. And I would just get so upset. And I just felt so alone in a lot of ways, like unseen, unheard. And so me and my mom would get in arguments, and she would be like, when you're 18, get out. And so
Wow.
I did. I turned 18, and she didn't know I was moving out, but I did. I told her that she came in, and she's like, where are you going? I said, you told me when I'm 18 to move out. I'm going to move out with Damien. And so I decided to do that, and that was in my senior year. And then life was going fine. I would go and visit my mom, and we had such a better relationship because I understood her perspective. And it took me moving out to see how hard it is to just live life and the different things that you have to do. And I was in my senior year, the car broke down that we were using, and so I had to start an entire new school in my senior year of high school.
Wow.
And that was a very hard time. But I did graduate and everything like that for high school. And I worked and things like that. I stayed with me and my boyfriend at the time, stayed with his mom For him, he's never had his father in his life or anything. Me, I was very, because of the way that I view myself as a woman and things like that, I felt like I just allowed things that wasn't supposed to happen. So I dealt with a lot of verbal abuse, dealt with a lot of physical abuse, a lot of deception in a lot of ways in my teenage years.
Yeah.
And I think my last straw where I kind of turned off of the Lord, because I grew up loving the Lord. I grew up so close to him.
Yeah.
Was my youth pastor. I was 18, and I was so close to him. Like, we were going to talk on the phone. I'd go visit him and stuff like that at his house with his son. And he called me one day, and I worked at Victoria's Secret, and he said, he called me and he said, "Oh, I'm going to buy my wife some stuff from there." I was like, "Oh, cool. We'll just send her in, and I'll help her with whatever she needs. It's totally fine." And he said, no. He said, "No. I wanted to know if you can try on the things."
Oh my God.
And I was like, what? What do you mean? You're married, you have a wife that loves you. And it was so left field that it just turned me completely off. And then the way the church handled it when we were able to tell him, they just wanted to cover it up. And he still got to do his job and everything with other youth. Totally fine. And my mom, we just stopped going.
Yeah.
Because I would go with her on weekends and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of turned me off. And then life just shifted.
Yeah.
What
happened after that? Were you, you graduated high school?
I did graduate high school.
Did you stay in Georgia?
I stayed in Georgia. I ended up having my child, Ariane. We actually planned her at 18.
Wow.
And we said, you know what? We love each other. Let's do it. And so we were young and dumb. That's what I say. But she was wonderful. She was so beautiful. And I just remember us being in his mom, her grandmother's home, not my mom, but my boyfriend's mom. And it was like, I don't even know. She's probably like a couple weeks old maybe. And she's like, "Okay, you guys need to get out. I have someone coming in and meeting with someone." And she literally makes us get out. Like, we go in the car with the baby.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't even know what was happening at the time, but I remember. And so it was just very hard for us. It was our first time like semi being homeless for a little while. And then he
18?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so he kind of begged her to go back, and so she like adjusted to it. Where we're like, we'll pay something to like stay there. And then for us, life like shifts again. Where his mom gets sick, she gets cancer. She's got cancer multiple times.
Wow.
We've moved multiple times with his mom, and she gets it for the last time, and then she doesn't get better. And then she has to move to like one of the hospice cares. And we're visiting her. And one day we visit, and he gets a call, and she's not, she passes away. But we couldn't afford to bury her. We couldn't afford anything. And the stuff that she left us, because everything got moved into storage, is gone. We can't afford to bury her, so that means there's no death certificate, so there's no proof of her being dead to get anything that she gave us. So all that stuff is gone in the storage or whatever. And so my daughter's father, he can't really handle it in Georgia anymore. Everything reminds him of his mom. And so we just choose to start over. And so we're like, well, why don't we move? And at that time, the background, I'm not really speaking to my family either. My daughter's like 1 year old. They got into it. her father or something, and he convinces me that we no longer need to speak to them. So I don't speak to them. They don't see their grand, and like my brother doesn't see her, and my mom doesn't either. And then he says, like, before we move, you can have your last visit with them, and then you can tell them that we're leaving. And so that's what I do. And he said, once we went through all the 50 states. We chose and got it down to like Virginia, Oklahoma, and Nebraska. And we didn't choose Virginia. It's a higher cost of living. You didn't choose Oklahoma because of tornadoes. And then we chose Nebraska because it seems like a great place to live and raise a family, and the cost of living was wonderful. We did all the research, and so we decided that we're just going to transfer. I was working at Target. We're going to transfer jobs for me, and we're just going to go to a place we've never been before, and then we just drove here.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And that was how old?
Probably in my early 20s, like 23 maybe.
So then, like, in that time, you were following Jesus, or you'd kind of fallen away?
I was falling away at that time, but I still, for me, I had the Lord in my heart. But he didn't have any relationship with the Lord. So when we moved here, it was a complete cutoff of my family. My mom would try to call. She tried. Mothers are very persistent. She called every Target until she found me. We moved here, and we were homeless when we moved here, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
When I got my job, we lived in the car for almost a year. And I think the breaking point was the winter time. We lived, even in the winter, we would my daughter turned, I must have been younger because my daughter turned 2 here. And I just remember living in the car, and my last straw of like living like this, because he convinced me that we need to stay in the car to save money. And that was our way of doing things. Stay in the car to save money. We're not going to be able to get an apartment yet because we need to pay off another apartment, so they're not going to approve us. We didn't even try, but in his mind, that's what it was. So then I just believed him because I didn't know.
Right.
So our last straw was living in the car, and them telling us it was going to be like, I don't even know, like -10. The car is broken down. We're homeless living in the car.
Wow.
In the parking lot of Target. And I worked, and I would walk in, and I would shower in the sink, and I would just go to work, and I would put on the same clothes. When the car was working, I went to the gym to get cleaned up or something. My daughter and stuff, it was just a mess. But the last straw was negative weather. We thought we were gonna die, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, we're gonna have to move. We're gonna have to move. We're gonna have to do something. I'm not doing this anymore. And so we move into a hotel, and then the life kind of starts for us there. We move into a hotel for a while. We're walking. We don't have a car, and I applied for some type of housing unit that goes by your income in Valley, and that is where we move. And that was our first place here.
Wow.
And from there, it's like the Lord really started working in me, really working in me. It was like he woke me up.
Really?
Yeah. And so I just started shifting. I wanted better for my life. I didn't want to be on government assistance anymore. I wanted to go to nursing school. I wanted to do all these things. And I realized he was not going for that.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening, again, my daughter was 5. I got pregnant. He wanted me to have an abortion. I don't believe in abortions. And so I ended up being really close to an optical person in Target. And I went through pregnancy. My daughter's father wanted nothing to do with anything. I went to all appointments by myself. I did everything on my own. And so I ended up talking to her sister. Her sister had polycystic ovarian syndrome, tried to have kids for 10 years.
Wow.
Couldn't. Spent tons of money on IVF and things. And she was like, would you be interested in talking to her? And I said, okay. And so I just prayed, and I just talked to the Lord. And then I talked to her on the phone, and I talked to her for 5 hours. And then I kept praying, and the Lord was like, this is her. So I gave my son to her because we couldn't afford it. We weren't going to be together anymore. I don't believe in abortions or anything. And I met the family. They reminded me so much of my family growing up, being so family oriented, doing everything together. Yeah. They loved the Lord. She was a teacher. Wow. her husband was in the military. Like, they had their lives just amazing. And it would just be so amazing for my son to grow up in a loving family with the family I can afford and care for him. And so the day comes where it's time to have Liam. I let her name him, so she named him Liam Asher, which I thought was beautiful, Whitaker. And the day comes for it's time to have the baby. And my daughter's father says, I'm sorry, I can't take you to the hospital. I can't get off work. So he's literally working at Burger King. But he can't get off work for me to go have this baby. So she drives. His mom drives from Bellevue to come and get me. And not only is she there, her husband's there. Liam's new grandfather's there. And my daughter is with me, too. And so she's in the hallway with Liam's future grandfather while I am giving natural birth to Liam. And I am screaming because, and I don't know how traumatizing that is for a kid. But I just remember the most beautiful moment was the Liam being laid on my chest and me looking at his future mom. And it's such a beautiful moment. And we just cry because this beautiful life of this little boy, you're going to be given motherhood because of just this circumstances, but it's just so beautiful. And I had so much peace. I've never had that much peace in my entire life, felt like in my entire life. But in that moment, I had this like supernatural peace that Liam was going to be fine. He's going to be taken care of and things were going to be okay for him. I even got I didn't breastfeed him or anything. I said, no, you need to connect with him and you need to bond with him. And so after he was born, my body felt amazing. So she took him and I made sure that they needed me or whatever. It was fine, but I was so healed so fast. Wow. And then after that, I would talk to her and stuff off and on holidays and try to send him things for his birthday. And then we moved again. I was still with my daughter's father.
Oh, wow. So you ended up staying together.
For Ariane, my daughter. And we moved into the next place where my life was getting better. I started school. I got off to government assistance. I got a good job. And I was just I got to the point where we're at year 11 and we're not married. We're going to have to figure this out. And so we went for a drive at late at night. And I was like, either we're going to get married or it's over. That's just what we're doing. And we both agreed that it's over. And we weren't upset. It was at the point where I had no feelings or anything and we were kind of friends. And so I allowed him to just sleep on the couch and try to get himself together. But it got to the point where I ended up having to tell him to leave and get his stuff out. And he didn't take it well. But I changed the locks and stuff and I just started my new life. He took the car. And so it was just me and my daughter with just figuring out how to pay bills on my own. I was so behind on everything. It was a mess. But from there, that's when the Lord captured me again.
Yeah.
In that moment of being just with me and my daughter and choosing the best life for us, the Lord just intervened for us.
What did that look like?
My mom called and she was in the hospital or something. And the Lord had me go to a church. Randomly on a Wednesday, I just started going to church. And end up meeting a life group that same day randomly. They were doing life groups randomly. And I told them what was going on. And the group just prayed for my mom. And then after that, I started going to church again. And I remember sitting in the back. And I was looking at the stage. And the pastor was just he was giving an altar call for people that feel like they needed to come back to the Lord. It wasn't you didn't have salvation. It was you need to come back to him.
Yeah.
And then I just felt my heart was started pounding. I just felt I was almost being pushed to the altar.
You're I'm in the back. All the way up there.
And there is where I re-met Jesus again. My love for the Lord just grew. And it just became just this beautiful relationship with the Lord and praying and having community with people. And just from there, life just seemed to just open up for me there.
That's so cool. How old were you at that point? Late 20s?
Yeah. because my daughter was in like, I don't know, maybe like 3rd grade or something.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then he brought me through that point of your life,
Yeah.
like where I didn't want to date anyone. I wanted to be alone. I told the Lord I'm okay with not getting married. If I do meet someone, he has to love Jesus.
Yeah.
And I just loved being alone. I told people I was dating someone so I wouldn't have to deal with anyone. Like,
So how long were you single? Because obviously now you're married.
years.
So
I was single for years.
where did you meet your husband?
Yeah.
Our story is, I always laugh. I met him on Match. I met my husband on Match.
Really?
Yes, and it was such a God thing because my friends, they did all the online dating stuff. I was like, you're gonna get killed by someone. Like, that's not wise. And I only did it. I remember I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna try it. Maybe I'll meet some friends or something. And then what drew me to my husband is I was in college and I was writing books. And I was like so close to my English teacher, and she would take time out of school just to meet with me and help me with my stories.
That's awesome.
And I read on Match that he was a writer for scripts. And I was like, I've never met another writer before, ever. And this is my first chance to meet a writer that writes too. And so I messaged him, and from there we talked for like hours. And it was like, it had to be the Lord, because his was opposite too. Like, he had his brother-in-law was like, told him to try Match, and he's like, no, I'm not doing that.
That's how it works. That's how it happens.
I know. I've heard a few people that I know, they've done that too,
Yes,
and it ends up working out really well for
Someone
them.
forces them to do it, and then it works out.
It's true.
And then it happens, and then we meet, and it's like we had so much in common. And I'm surprised he stayed with me after our first date, because I fell asleep on our first date, and he will tell everyone that we fell
awesome.
asleep on our first date.
That's so sweet.
Because I stayed up all night doing braids for 5 hours.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Just for our date. And I just remember we went to this, like, the trajectory moment for me and my husband was we went to this hookah bar, and I didn't even know what hookah was, and I was falling asleep, and he was like, do you want a Coke? And I was like, sure. And so he gets a Coke, and we walk out the back, and it's by Nebraska Furniture Mart. And then we just talk movies, and we realized, like, hey, I love horror movies. And then we were talking about movies and like music and like all the things that we love. And then while we're walking, like, we walk past, it's so like I don't know, ironic romantic thing, I guess, that happens in movies. We walk past, and the sprinklers just is everywhere where we are, and he's like trying to block me, and you're like getting wet, and it's so funny. And it was just like this beautiful moment. Like, it could have been completely terrible if he got upset about like me being asleep or anything, but you know what, he took us outside, and he kept continuing to try and make sure that we connected. And for that, it was just, I don't know, it was beautiful. On top of that, like, I didn't know what like a godly man truly was like for me, but for him, he said, I don't want to, he said he doesn't want to, he wanted to get to know me as a friend, like get to know me as a person, to make sure we connect. He opened doors for me, like he was so honorable, and I've never met that. I just told the Lord, like, I want someone that loves Jesus. So he just loves Jesus, but his parents raised him so amazingly that he knew how to cover the woman that he's pursuing. So it was so honorable.
There's something beautiful about being pursued like that.
Yes, so it's beautiful. And so our life changed so fast. And another big moment is he chose to drive 16 hours to meet my mom. And Georgia. It's a 16-hour drive. I didn't know he was asking her for my hand in marriage, but that's what he was doing. And so he drove 16 hours with my daughter. She was probably like 6 or 7 or something. And we drove 16 hours. And then not only did he meet her, we drove hours away from Georgia to Florida for him to meet my sister as well. And so it was just so cool. Like,
that's awesome.
He said if my mom said no, he wouldn't have married me.
That's so sweet.
So it's just like, I don't know. It just showed me like how amazing God prepares your husband, you know. before you even meet. Like he knows
crafts
those
them uniquely
things.
for us.
Yeah.
What you
Yep.
need. Yeah.
Yep.
So
That's
it's beautiful.
so sweet.
Yeah.
So then take us, because obviously we met you through our vehicle ownership program.
Yes.
So you were without a car
Yes.
back in, Nebraska. So what led to that moment, and I guess what's life been like since
Okay.
getting a car? 'Cause I know there's a few years to fill, but
Yes.
yeah.
That moment that was leading up to that, God put me in a place where I was in complete, like, he shifted me into a place where I was in complete solitude. Like
Yeah.
Psalms 46:10, be still and know I'm God. For me in my life, be still meant I needed to be silent. I needed to be alone. And he put me in that period of time in my life where that needed to happen. And it was the hardest part of my life. I felt like in my adulthood that being alone, being lowly before the Lord, being woken up at 4:30 to pray, and like not knowing what's going to happen in life, and everything like Job in my life is just falling apart. Where don't even know, like there's no food there in the house or something, and I get home and my porch is full of groceries. The Lord taught me how to depend on him into a place daily, daily covering of what I needed, and to just depend on him so much. I just learned during this time of being in solitude is when the Lord calls you into solitude and you are choosing to be obedient, like he is going to he's just going to cover you in ways that you cannot fathom. And I've learned truly what it's like. I felt like I lost my identity for a while, and he had to break me and take everything away for me to get back to who I am in him. And for me, that trajectory moment for me was January. He called me to be in deliverance, go through deliverance. It was 6 hours long, but for me, the trajectory period for me in that moment was the vision he gave me within my deliverance. It was this girl, and she was me, and she was 6 years old, and she had just these pigtails, and she was in this cage, and it was black, and it was darkness around her everywhere, and she was terrified, and she was just holding her niece, and I'm seeing it. Everyone around me is praying because it's deliverance, but I am in an open vision, and I see this blood. The blood just pours out all over the cage that I'm in, because I realize that's me. And then there's just key in this hand, and this key is dripping just blood on this hand is dripping blood on this key, and there's this padlock, and it's the Lord. I just automatically knew it's the Lord, and he opens this padlock, and he's like a gentleman, and he only opens it a partial way, and he waits for me. And I sit there, and I slowly crawl out of this cage, and I step before him, and I can't see his face. It's just white and glory.
Wow.
And he picks me up. Sorry, I'm gonna cry.
Okay.
He picks me up. He says, welcome home, daughter.
Wow.
And I feel this encompassment of love that I've never felt in my entire life. And it's just so encompassing, it just changes me in that moment, and I'm just light, and all the cage and everything disappears, and it's we're walking through this beautiful bright garden, and it's lilies, and lilies are my favorite flower. And it's just he's holding me like a father is supposed to hold his daughter. And in that moment, I'm seeing these things. I'm seeing every part of my life that's been broken, all of the physical abuse, all the sexual abuse as a kid, all the things that I've ever been through. He's showing me these points in my life and how he was there. There's this open door there, there's this bright spot here, there's this thing, and he's showing me that he was with me through my entire life, and I was never ever alone. And I just break, and I just, that moment, I feel like is when I realized like who I am in the Lord again. He restored me in that moment, and from there I've been so light and so free. And the Lord's restored my marriage, He's restored my family, but the biggest thing is He's restored me as a mom, me as a wife, me knowing how to cover my husband in prayer, me knowing how to lift my husband up, me knowing like everyone says they want to be married, but are you prepared for what marriage is? The warfare that comes against marriage, the warfare that comes against being a mom who loves the Lord and a wife who loves the Lord. And I felt like up until that moment, I did not know. I was so prideful. I was so spiteful in a lot of ways. And I was so just self-absorbed. And during that solitude and through that deliverance, it has shown me how beautiful marriage is, how God has just made it so perfect. Like the two halves that make a whole, and the Lord being just that center of it all. When He draws you guys closer like that 3-stranded cord, it's absolutely beautiful. And when you have that unity in marriage, then it just overflows into your children, overflows into your bloodline, it overflows into your life, like every aspect of your life. And it's just like you permeate Jesus. So walking out of that deliverance, I've never felt so light in my life, and I can't explain it, I can't express it. And I've never felt so much joy and freedom. Like all the lies of the enemy that he uses people to try to break you in your trajectory of your life, like all the things to stop you in your life. And God's like, nope. In the end, He wins. And so that's where I feel like I am.
Whole time. That's so cool. What would you speak like for people listening if they're going through, you know, maybe a really dark time in their life? What, because you've been through multiple different seasons of, you know, hardship in your life, what would you want to say to them to encourage them?
If I had to say anything, it would be in the moments where you feel like you're in the trenches and there's just darkness and chaos and your circumstances is getting to the point where you're just so broken and you feel like you can't take another step. Know that the Lord sees you. I think that's the biggest thing is Elroy. That was my biggest thing that I've taken out of this entire time of my life. It's like we live through life and all the things that's happened in our life and we don't feel like God knows or He sees us or He cares about or anything that happens in our lives. And the biggest thing I can say and share is that the Lord sees you, that you're important to Him, that His thoughts are about you. Before you even knew Him, He knew you. And that's the biggest thing that I want to share with others that are broken and alone is that His arms are always open, waiting for you.
We have a loving Father, I mean, you have gone through so much, Shanita, and, you know, the Lord has sanctified you, and He has just refined you into a beautiful woman and a beautiful mother, beautiful wife, all the things. So you have your car now, praise Jesus. So give us, you know, what these past few months have looked like, reunification with your husband. And just now what life looks like moving forward.
Okay, so Haley is the person that, Haley Asmus, she's the person I didn't even think I qualified. I was driving a car. I was driving a car that I knew was just going to fall apart. And just like praying that, I don't even know, like, the Lord just get us through the day and the car not break down. And like all the things were falling apart, the car that I was driving. And she's like, well, do you own anything? Like, and I'm like, no, I don't own a car or anything like that at all. And because I was just like, I can't apply for that. I'm not eligible. Like, I can't have a car, I can't own a car or anything like that. And she's like, you are eligible. And you're going to try. You're going to go through this process. And I was so scared of being rejected or like not being able to come up with the funds.
I remember that. You came to your orientation class and you were like very
because the Lord, I was like, Lord, I have no money to give. Like my mortgage, like months behind. All my bills are just crazy. And I was just like, Lord, how am I even going to afford this? I'm just now like getting to a point where I can afford life. How am I going to afford a random whenever it comes? What if it comes and I don't have any money and I don't know what to do? And the Lord was just like, just trust me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember I was going through the classes and things like that. And I got told, oh, we're going to go to this transmission place. And it automatically brings me back to, like, my dad. I'm like, oh, I'm going to learn about transmissions. It's going to be the coolest thing. Awesome. I'm going to learn, and maybe we're going to build something, or maybe we're going to do something to do with transmissions. And so I'm going there. I'm going there and having the best convo with the guy that was driving me. Yeah. I'm so bad at names.
Mike.
Yes, Mike. Yep. Thank you, Mike. And I get there, and I still don't fathom that they've given me a car. Mm-hmm. So they open the garage, and I'm like, oh, there's a car with a bow. Like, we're going to learn about transmissions with this car and a bow. Yeah. It's fine. And then they're just like, surprise. And I'm like so shocked that I don't even know what to actually say at all. And I just cry because I'm just like, oh, my God, Lord. I have no words of how amazing he is and how amazing this community of Chariots has been to me during just really hard time in my life. And I'm so incredibly grateful for you girls. And like all of Chariots, you guys have just showed me Jesus in ways that I've never fathomed, like freely, like the joy that you guys permeate. And you just show people that I see like are so broken and they just need just maybe a word or just a hug or anything. And you guys just have this beautiful heart and this beautiful community. And I am so grateful to just be a part, even a tiny part of it. And I hope even this small little story that I have, I just hope it encourages another mom or another woman. Like,
you're awesome.
We love you, Shanita. Yeah. Seriously. We're so grateful for you.
Yeah, it's been really cool, just to see your transition just from even since we met you, just everything. I mean, there's been miracles in your marriage and in your life, and the car is just a tool. And and I would love that that God used it in another way to show you that he is trustworthy and he provides. And I mean, your whole life story is a reminder of his provision and
amen,
and the hope that we have in him. Through darkness, he's always there.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's so just encouraging. He's always there and he loves you dearly. And I mean, he's got so much more in store for you and your family.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing to have you a part of Chariots. And
big one.
We always say it's beyond the car, and it really is beyond the car. The car is a tool, and it's a great tool, but us, our hearts for Jesus and for building relationship and pointing people to Jesus. And so that's our hope, is that your story today can encourage people, and for people listening, that you feel encouraged and that that God loves you and he sees you. Yes. And through the darkest valley, he'll bring you out of it. And he's always standing there waiting with open arms. And so just thank you for your time. And for sharing your story. And
we love you so much.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening to the Under the Hood podcast today. We love you, and we just pray it blesses you. God bless you.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Chariots for Hope Under the Hood podcast. We hope you were encouraged and inspired by the conversation. Our mission at Chariots for Hope is to demonstrate God's love by removing transportation barriers. You can join us in that mission by following us on social media, donating financially, or even donating a used vehicle to help advance someone through one of our programs. To learn more or get involved, visit us at chariotsforhope.org. Thanks so much again for listening, and God bless you.